rope cut into her skin long before anyone heard her scream. Maggie Doyle was hanging from an old cottonwood tree at the edge of the Kansas plain, her bare feet swinging inches above the burned yellow grass, her body twisting weakly under the summer sun, the heat pressed down on her chest until every breath felt stolen. The rope was tied wrong, too tight, dragged where it had no right to be, grinding with every small movement. Her hands were numb, her throat was raw, her vision blurred until the sky looked white instead of blue. She tried not to cry. She had learned that crying only made men crueler. The rope rubbed again and pain shot through her like fire. She finally broke. "Please." "It's rubbing against it." The words came out cracked, ashamed, desperate. If you've ever had a moment where pain stole your pride, you already know why. She couldn't hold it in. Caleb Hart heard her voice before he saw her. He was riding fence near the Cimarron River. He was 48, weathered by dust and loss, and the sound stopped his horse cold. It was not a shout. It was not a call for help. It was someone begging through pain they could not name out loud. He followed the sound through the tall grass and froze. A young woman, 26 at most, hanging, bruised, barely conscious, the rope biting into her waist and thighs, twisted in a way that made his stomach turn. Caleb did not look away. He did not hesitate. He cut the rope in one clean motion and caught her before her body hit the ground. She collapsed against him, shaking so hard her teeth clicked. Her dress was torn. Her skin was marked where the rope had burned and rubbed raw. "I'm sorry," she whispered, not knowing why she was apologizing. Caleb shrugged out of his coat and wrapped it around her without a word. He turned his body slightly, blocking her from the open plain, blocking her from shame. He carried her into the shade, set her down slow, and knelt so his eyes were level with hers. "Don't move," he said. "You're safe now." Her breath hitched. Safe was not a word anyone had used around her in years. As he examined the rope marks, careful and professional, she flinched again, the pain flaring sharp. "Please," she whispered. "The rope hurt me bad. Worse than the burns." Caleb stopped. His jaw tightened, not with desire, with anger, with restraint, with something old and dangerous. Someone had done this on purpose. Someone had tied that rope to humiliate, to punish, to break her. In the distance, dust drifted from the road back to Dodge City. Somewhere out there. The man who put her on that tree was still breathing free air. Caleb wrapped the coat tighter around her and stood. The town would talk. The town would twist this. The town would shock itself with lies, but the real question was simple. Would Maggie survive what came next, or would the truth destroy them both before love ever had a chance to begin? Caleb did not take her straight into town. He knew better than that. Dodge City had a way of turning pain into gossip before sundown, and Caleb knew the difference between helping someone and handing them to a crowd. Instead, he guided his horse slow along the creek line toward the far edge of his ranch, where the barn leaned crooked and the wind carried more truth than voices. Maggie barely stayed conscious in his arms. Every jolt made her flinch. The rope burns throbbed, and the places where it had rubbed left her shaking, unable to steady herself. Caleb set her down inside the barn, closed the door halfway, and pulled a clean bucket of water. "You're all right," he said. "I'm going to fix what I can." She nodded, not trusting her voice. He worked careful. No rush, no staring, just hands that knew how to treat an injured animal, and a woman who had been treated worse than one. He cleaned the rope marks slowly. He'd seen injuries before, but this one came with a kind of cruelty that doesn't wash off with water. He used a salve made from tallow and herbs his late wife had taught him to keep. It smelled faintly of sage and smoke. Maggie clenched her fists when the pain flared. "It still hurts," she whispered. "Down there. Please." "It will," Caleb said. "But it needs time." That word again. Time. She let out a breath she had been holding for years. For the first time, no one told her to hurry. No one told her to be quiet. No one told her she deserved it. Outside. Hooves passed on the dirt road. Voices drifted close. Caleb stiffened. He pulled a blanket over her shoulders and stepped outside. Two men stood near the fence, pretending not to look. Everything all right there, Hart? One asked, with a smile that knew too much. Fine, Caleb said. They glanced toward the barn door. One of them smirked. By the time they rode off, the damage was done. Back inside, Maggie saw the change in his face. They saw me, she said quietly. They saw nothing, he replied. But he knew the town would fill in the blanks anyway. Before the sun went down, Caleb sent a ranch hand with a note to Amos. Read, no drama, just a request for a deputy who wasn't for sale. Later, when he rode into Dodge City for bandages, he felt eyes follow him. A whisper passed behind his back. Someone laughed. Someone else repeated a word they did not understand, but liked the sound of. By the time Caleb returned, Maggie was sitting up, wrapped tight, staring at the door like it might open and swallow her whole. They're talking, she said. Let them, he answered. She swallowed hard. He won't let this go. Caleb met her eyes. Then neither will I. Outside, the sun dipped low. Somewhere between the barn and the town, a lie was already running faster than the truth. And the question was no longer whether Dodge City would believe Maggie. It was who would reach her first when the story finally came knocking at the door. Caleb felt Dodge City watching him before he ever saw the street. The looks came first, then the whispers, then the smiles that pretended to be friendly, but were not. By mid-morning, everyone seemed to know he had a young woman on his ranch. Everyone thought they knew why. Maggie stayed inside the barn, sitting on a crate, wrapped in a blanket that still smelled like sea and leather. Every sound made her flinch. A horse snorting, a door creaking, footsteps on dirt. He's coming, she said softly, without looking up. Caleb did not ask who. He already knew. Wade Doyle had a way of showing up when he smelled fear or profit, sometimes both. By noon, a rider appeared at the fence line, then another. Dust rose slow and deliberate, like a warning. Wade dismounted with a grin that had never meant kindness in his life. There you are, Hart, he said, loud enough for anyone passing to hear. Town's saying you picked up something that don't belong to you. Caleb stepped out of the barn and closed the door behind him. His right hand rested easy near his belt, where the old Colt hung low. Not a threat, just a reminder. She's resting, he said. Wade laughed, not amused, not surprised. Funny thing, Wade went on. Town's already shocked. Folks say they heard her begging, and they're filling in the blanks the way they always do. Caleb took one step closer. Say her name again. Wade raised his hands like he was calming a skittish horse. Easy now. I'm just here to take my sister-in-law home. He said it sweet, but his eyes were the same eyes that had put her on that tree. Maggie heard every word through the thin boards. Her stomach turned. Home had never been home. She pushed herself up, pain and all, and opened the barn door. I'm not going anywhere with you, she said. The men along the fence shifted. This was better than a card game. Wade stared at her, then smiled wider. You see that, boys, he said. She's confused, been listening to lies. Caleb did not raise his voice. She stays. Wade's men shifted their boots in the dirt, waiting for Caleb to blink first. Wade didn't reach for a gun. He wanted a crowd more than he wanted a fight. Wade stepped closer. Too close. You lay a hand on her, Caleb said, steady as stone. And you won't use it again. That was when Wade shoved him, hard. Caleb